I would like to now turn to Ms. Rosa Pavanelli, who is the president of the Global Union Federation, Public Services International. Ms. Pavanelli has also served as commissioner on the UN Secretary General's High-Level Commission on Health, Employment and Economic Growth, representing the trade union movement, health workers, and public services, amongst other high-level positions. Ms. Pavanelli, I'd like to broaden the focus a little and talk about the work of public servants beyond the healthcare sector. Measures adopted to contain COVID-19 all around the world have had a massive impact on labor relations, as we know, and on labor conditions for millions of workers in many essential public service areas, be it sanitation, transit, postal, education, utility provision, and many more. You work with PSI. Can you talk a little about what impact COVID has had and discuss the role labor unions have been playing in safeguarding labor rights? How do you think the pandemic will impact public service, labor conditions, and relations going forward?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you all for inviting PSI to the celebration of this very peculiar World Public Service Day. I would like to say that as PSI, we organize public service workers in different sectors, but 60% of our membership is in the health sector. And I cannot do other than share and support what Annette Kennedy and Jim Campbell just said about the importance and the role of health workers and the need to invest in public health systems. You ask me how, I think that this pandemic has unveiled a situation, a truth that we all knew was there, but was untold. And the fact is that there are workers that are often hidden, but are essential to keep our community working. Workers providing clean water, sanitation, transport, janitors, teachers, all those workers who are often, or in the past, have often been scapegoated as the responsible of public spending, of the increase of public debt. And then in a sudden, we realize how fundamental they are, not only to keep our community safe, but also to keep our community alive and economically viable. The role of public services is not just providing services that are useless for the economy. And we have been able to show that making the economy working in many places, helping the private sector to continue perform, and supporting also the families and the communities in many places. It has changed the labor condition, of course. My colleagues from the Nurses, International College of Nurses just told us the difficult working conditions that are out of any international labor standards that many of the nurses, and I would say health professionals, as well as water, sanitation, public utility workers had to face with long working hours without personal protection equipment. But I would say that this was an effort that our members knew they had to face to support the community. And this is the big sense of the mission that public services and public service workers are required to perform. But having said that, I don't like that we call public service heroes. They are workers and they deserve dignity. They deserve decent wages and decent working conditions. They deserve respect and they deserve the recognition of the role they play for our communities at large. And this is why the role that we played as Public Services International was, since the very beginning of the pandemic, to get involved with our affiliates in order to support them with all the available information, the training and the advocacy towards the health authorities, the public authorities, the local government, everywhere around the world, as well as engaging ourselves, as we normally do, with the WHO, with the ILO, in order to continue highlighting the need of high standard to protect public service workers. Just to conclude, I think that it was not something unforeseeable what happened and what is still happening in many parts of the world because of COVID-19. We had the experience with SARS, we had the experience with Ebola, and we knew that something like that could happen. Yes. What is shocking now is that this is a pandemic, it's affecting all the world, and mostly it's affecting also the developed world. So having to deal with this issue means that we need to readdress the idea of development that we have, both in developing and in the developed world, and make efforts to invest in public services means working for socially, environmentally, and economically sustainable development for all.
Thank you very much, Rosa. Time is definitely not on our side, and there's so much the panelists have said, which I would like to follow up on. However, I will give each panelist an opportunity in using 1 minute, not more than 1 minute, panelists, to very quickly respond to what do you believe is a priority action for countries to be better prepared and to protect their public service, given that today is Public Service Day. It would be that one thing, one bit of advice you would give to countries. And let's go in order of the panel. And I'll start with Dr. Lee, and then we'll move to Ms. Shailaja, and then to Annette, and then to Jim, and then to Rosa. Okay.